Okay, so today we're going to do an introduction on how to start reading music, be it for like a piano or any other type of instrument. Usually on the piano is when you use a bass clef and also a treble clef. So right now we're going to start off by naming a couple of things. So right here you would see a treble clef. This is what this is called. Usually a treble clef you would use notes playing on your right hand on the piano. The one right here would be the bass clef. Usually use your left hand while you're playing notes on the bass clef. That's whenever you're starting off at the center of the piano. Now for each one of these circles, I'm gonna start naming each one of them. So the first line we see at the bottom here, we're gonna start off naming them. The first one would be E. Second circle right there would be G. Next circle would be B. Next circle would be D. And the last circle to the top would be F. And by the way, these 5 lines would be your staff. That's what this 5-line diagram would be, the staff. Now for the spaces, we're gonna start off with the first space, which would be F. Second one would be A. Next one would be C. And the last one above here would be E. Now, those are the notes. In the future, we're gonna start showing you the time signature, which would be going over here. And also each note count would be like a quarter note, half note, or a whole note. But right now we're just trying to get across the point of how to understand each one of the notes. So this is the E, G, B, D, and F. These are the first 5 lines of the staff. Now for the first 5 spaces, as you can tell it spells face. It's easy to remember. So the first space would be the F, the A, second one. Third one would be C, and the last one would be E. Now, whenever you play the piano, if you notice, you usually use 2 hands whenever you see a musical piece. So whenever you start using the full grand staff, you'll notice that sometimes you have a little line in the middle before you get to the bass clef. So this circle right here would be a C. And if you go under that, under the staff, and above this line in the middle, this one would be the D. Okay. Now, whenever we start going into the bass clef, it's a little harder to memorize, but it's something that you still have to learn over time. In the future, we're going to start doing videos on treble clef first, and then we're going to start getting into both of them. Now, for the bass clef, we're going to do the same thing, just name each line and then each space. So for the first line, right here, that one's going to be the G. For the second line, that one's going to be a B. For the next line, that one's going to be a D. The next line, that's going to be an F. And for the last line, that's going to be an A. Now, those are the first 5 lines of this staff, and this is the bass clef. So more than likely, you're gonna be playing notes with the left hand using the bass clef. They do change depending on the musical piece, but that's something basic to start off. Now for the spaces, I'm gonna do the same thing as I did above, but if you notice, it will not be in the same order. So that's one of the reasons we wanna focus on the treble clef first, but this is just so you have a general idea of how the full grand staff goes. So for the first space, I'm gonna mark it as an A. Second space will be a C. Next space will be an E. And the last space would be a G. Now those are the spaces for the bass clef, and of course, they're not in the same order as the treble clef because these are 2 different staffs. Usually you see them both on the same musical piece, but the order which they go on the staff is a little different. but it's the same sequence. So if you see in the middle of E and G, if you notice over here, E and G, there's an F. So that's where you see the F. So the sequence, the order of the sequence is the same, but once you see all 5 lines on each one, you'll notice that the order of which you see them on each line would be a little different.